Welcome to Study Time, a televised home learning program produced by Rwanda Basic Education Board.
Hello, students. I hope you're okay. You're welcome to biology lesson. As usual, you're with chocolate. So this is the senior 5 class. So we are on unit number 12, which is regulation of glucose. And the lesson of today, it is about diabetes mellitus. So I hope you are ready. You have your documents, notebooks where you can write some explanation. I hope you enjoy with this lesson. Okay? Nice. What is the objective of the lesson of today? So at the end of this lesson, you will be able to list the symptom of diabetes mellitus. And then also you will be able to explain how diabetes mellitus can be treated, how it can be cured. Is it possible? So we will see if it is possible that diabetes mellitus can be treated. We'll see what to do. So you are welcome again, and then make sure you follow, and then I hope at the end of this lesson, you will be able to answer the question related to this lesson. Nice. When we talk about diabetes mellitus, what's that? First of all, is a disorder. It is a metabolic disorder. It is a chronic disorder. Are you together? Caused by lack of insulin hormone. You remember? Last time we have talked about this insulin, the role of insulin. We have already talked about this one. We have seen that when the sugar level is increased, the blood glucose level, when it is highly increased, it has to be regulated. So the hormone called insulin has to be produced. It's going to be produced by beta cells of pancreas. Actually, we have what we call langerhans of the pancreas. Produce this insulin. What's the insulin do? The insulin will reduce the level of blood glucose by actually converting the excess glucose into glucogen. This one we have seen. So now, we have now this diabetes called diabetes mellitus, which is a metabolic disorder caused by lack of insulin hormone, or a loss of responsiveness to insulin hormone. When there is less response to insulin, also can cause diabetes. Are you together? Now, so when the sugar is failing to be regulated in our blood, so this is what you call, actually we have high amount of glucose in our blood. So we suffer the disorder called what? Called diabetes mellitus. It comes from the sugar, the high sugar in our blood. So now, it can result from incomplete development of damage. Actually, when there is damage of beta cells of isolate of the langerhans in the pancreas, when those cells are damaged, or when pancreas is damaged, it fails to produce what? The insulin. When the insulin is not producing, so you are going to suffer diabetes mellitus. Are you together? So now, this is what you call diabetes mellitus. It's a disorder. It's a chronic disorder. So now, there are two types of diabetes mellitus. We have type 1 and type 2. So those are two types of diabetes mellitus we do have. So we're going to see how they are different. First of all, type 1 diabetes mellitus is caused by lack of insulin secretion. So when there is no secretion of the insulin, so now you will suffer, so the sugar will not be regulated. So we have high amount of blood glucose level. So the high amount of sugar in the blood. So now, this diabetes is what you call type 1 diabetes. Are you together? So there is a lack of insulin, production of insulin by pancreas. Now we do have also type 2 diabetes. What's type 2 diabetes? It's caused by reduced sensitivity of target cell to insulin. Actually, insulin is produced, but the working of the insulin is low, or it is not sensitive. On the target cell is not working well. Are you together? That is the failure of responsiveness of this insulin to regulate what? The glucose into the blood. So now, those are two types of diabetes mellitus we do have. We have type 1 diabetes. We do have also type 2 diabetes. We're going to see this in details. Are we together? Guys. So now, what is type 1 diabetes mellitus? This diabetes is also known as insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus. Insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus. So this is IDDM in a brief. So I stand for insulin, this stand for what? For dependent, and this diabetes, and this for mellitus. So now, why is it called insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus? So it is called this because there is insufficient production of insulin. Actually, the insulin is not produced well, you see, by beta cells of the pancreatic isolate of the langerhans. Actually, there is no production of what? Of the insulin. Even if it can be produced, but it is very insufficient. It's not enough. It's not sufficient to regulate the sugar in the blood. So this is type 1 diabetes. It is caused by insufficient insulin production by beta cells of the pancreatic cell. Actually, it can also be due to the absence of beta cells. Remember, we do have beta cells. These beta cells, they do produce what? Insulin. Remember? And then this insulin, what this insulin do? One of the role of this insulin, it is just when there is excess of glucose, it can help this glucose to be converted into glucogen. So in the presence of insulin. So when insulin is not there, so this glucose will not be converted. When it is not converted into glucogen to be stored, it's going to appear into our blood. Then we suffer what you call diabetes mellitus. But when this one is not secreted, so that's diabetes is what you call type 1 diabetes mellitus. Are you together? Sometimes those beta cells, they can be absent when they are not there. When they are not there in the pancreas, it can cause this problem of what? Of diabetes mellitus type 1. Do we together? Now, since pancreas make very little or no insulin, actually that's the problem. So glucose cannot get into the body cells, which means when glucose fails to get into the body cell, it remains into the blood. Once it remains into the blood, we have what we call hyperglycemia. Are you together? Are you understanding this? Nice. So hyperglycemia, it means it is high blood glucose level. So this level, it can reach, you see, between 300 to 1,200 milligram per centimeter cube. Remember the normal blood glucose level, it is 90. It is 90 milligram per centimeter cube. So when this increase, it can be increased higher, even from hundreds, 30, and also it can reach 300. Imagine 300. So when it is on that level, you have what you call diabetes. It can even reach. This can be increased actually from from 300, you see, gram to 1,200 gram per centimeter cube of the blood actually. You see? So now this is the problem because there is lack of insulin. Are you understanding this? Now, let's continue. So now, what are the symptoms that show that you suffer type 1 diabetes mellitus? One of the symptoms is this glucosuria. Glucosuria, or also you can call it glucosuria. So this is the presence of glucose in the urine. This is very dangerous, my friend. So actually, we have the system in our body that filtrates the blood so that glucose cannot get into the urine. When you urinate, your urine does not have what? The glucose. But in the case you have diabetes, your urine will contain what? Will contain glucose. So this is what you call glucosuria. This is one of the symptoms of what? Of the diabetes. Which means when they test your urine, when you have diabetes, type 1 diabetes, mellitus, they can find that there is what? There is glucose in your urine. This is what you call glucosuria. This is one symptom of type 1 diabetes mellitus. Another symptom is what you call glycemia. Glycemia, this is the presence of what? Of glucose in the blood. Remember, glucose has to be used in our body cells. So it has to be transported by the blood, and then from the blood, it has to be diffused into the cells where it can be used. So now, when they test your blood, and then they found in your blood there is glucose, that remains there. So in this case, you have diabetes mellitus, type 1. That is glycemia. So instead of the sugar to be used by the cells, it remains into the blood. This is another symptom of type 1 diabetes mellitus. Another symptom is what you call hyperglycemia. Too much glucose in the blood. When there is too much glucose in the blood, now this shows that you have what? You have diabetes mellitus, type 1. So hyperglycemia, too much glucose in the blood. So you can have even blood glucose, you can have glucose in the blood when it is not already reached into the blood cells. But when it is too high, in that case you have this diabetes 1, type 1. Another symptom is what you call polyuria. This is excessive urine production. There is frequent urination. You use every time to go to urinate. You see? To urinate. To do short call every time, frequently. So now, this is another symptom of what? Of diabetes. There's excessive urine production. You go, then you make your short call, then after 10 minutes, you go also. Frequent urination. This is another symptom of what? Of diabetes. This one is what you call polyuria. We do have also what you call polydipsia. Polydipsia. This is excessive thirst. You have thirst. Always excessive thirst. You need a lot of water to drink. So now, this is also another symptom of what? Of diabetes, type 1 diabetes. We do have also what you call polyphagia, is to have excessive hunger or increased appetite. So you always suffer the hunger. Even if you eat, after few minutes, you feel also you are in hunger. You see? This is another symptom of what? Of diabetes mellitus. So actually, we have those 3 P. Those are the main symptoms of. So we do have also other symptoms, but those 3 P, they are major symptoms that characterize someone with what? With diabetes mellitus. So those 3P is this polyuria, frequent urination, polydipsia, this is excessive taste, you have tests, and then you have polyphagia, this is excessive hunger. Those 3P, it is normally the symptom that you cannot miss for someone with diabetes. Are you together? Nice. So now how to treat diabetes, type 1 diabetes. How can it be treated? So number one, it's to take insulin, to be injected the insulin. This insulin, it can be injected to someone. We have artificial insulin. Because your body, the body for these people with diabetes failed to produce insulin, so now you can be injected this insulin from hospitals. This insulin. So you can be injected this one. It is not allowed to be taken orally. You know why? Because insulin is a protein. It's a protein. Once you take it orally, it can be digested by enzymes, digestive enzymes in the gut. So that's why you have to be injected with this one, so that it can reach on the target cells where it can do its work. This work, actually. So now another one is to monitoring of blood sugar level several times a day to see how the level of blood glucose is increasing. Is it either continue to increase or it is somehow decreasing? So you have now to monitor that one. It is also helping each day. So you can say how to monitor this one. So there is a machine that you can be given at the hospital, and this machine can help you to measure, to see if your blood glucose level is continuing to increasing or is decreasing. So another one is to eat health diets. To eat health diets. That's spread carbohydrates. Actually, it is to reduce the taking food that contain too much carbohydrates. So you can reduce that so that you cannot continue having high level of blood glucose. Nice. So now, if you have to do physical sport, it is also that it can help. Because when you do physical sport, there is some sugar from your blood that can be used because we need the energy. So another one is not smoking. Avoid smoking, my friend. Avoid smoking. This smoking also can reduce your immunity, and then this sugar can also rise in the blood. So not drinking alcohol. Remember, most of the alcohol, they do contain sugar. So that's why when you suffer diabetes, so don't drink alcohol. Are you together? Nice. So we have another types of diabetes is type 2 diabetes. So how is it going to be different from type 1? Type 2 diabetes is also known as non-insulin dependent diabetes. Non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Non-insulin. This one does not depend on insulin. Insulin is just there, it is produced, but the problem is this. It is caused due to inability of cells to take up glucose from the blood. So you see, insulin is there, but the blood glucose is not taken from the blood so that it can reach to the cells. You see? Not only this, it can also be defective insulin receptor. So insulin is not received well to the receptor cells of insulin. Insulin is produced normally, but to be reached on the target cell, on the receptor, is a problem. You see? In this case, you can suffer type 2 diabetes mellitus. Are you together? Nice. So type 2 diabetes are more common and account for almost 8 and 90% of the total diabetes mellitus cases. You see? Most of the diabetes mellitus cases, it is this type 2 diabetes. 8 to 90%. So what are the symptoms? What are the symptoms of type 2 diabetes mellitus? So they can be similar. They have some similarity with what? with the symptom, they have some similarity with what? With the type 1 diabetes mellitus. So the symptom number 1 is obesity. When you suffer this type 2 diabetes mellitus, you do suffer what you call obesity. This is accumulation of abnormal fats. So many fats are going to be accumulated in the body. So then you become very fat, or you become obese. This is obesity. So we do have also polyuria, as usual. Polyuria, excessive urine production, frequent urination. So you do urinate frequently. So this is the first P we talked about. We have also polypstidia. So this polydipsia. Sorry, this term somehow, biological terms, you can even found to read it is not easy, but we try. This is having excessive what? Thirst. Excessive thirst, always you do have you need something to drink. So this is another P, polydipsia. Another one is what you call polyphagia. Polyphagia, this is excessive hunger. You do suffer the hunger. Increased over appetite. You need always to have something to eat. This is another symptom of this type 2 diabetes. Are you together? Another one is hypertension. When you have this kind of diabetes, you have high blood pressure. It is high blood pressure. You see? This is the symptom of this diabetes. So how this diabetes 2, this type 2 diabetes mellitus is going to be cured? There is no cure for diabetes. Sometimes it is not easy to say that it can be, but when you obey the measurements, the regulation measurements for this type 2 diabetes, you can be safe. So if there is no cure, so treatment aims to keep the blood glucose level as normal as possible. So you try to reduce the blood glucose level at the normal as possible. Just control. You do what you call to control symptom and prevent health problems. Actually, when you obey this, you can have good health. You can be safe. So now, in type 2 diabetes, the pancreas is still working, no problem. We have seen that. It's still producing insulin. But the problem, either insulin is not received well on the receptor on the target cells, or glucose is not moving from the blood to the cells. Actually, is that. So now, how this type 2 diabetes can be treated? First of all, just is controlling measurement. So health diet, you can take the health diet or balanced diet, but when we talk about this health diet, is eating well to manage our blood glucose level and body weight. Actually, is to reduce the taking food that contain high carbohydrates. So this is a health diet. So regular exercises. So you do physical sport. This can help. It can lower the blood pressure and even reduce the risk of heart disease. So regulation, as you have seen for type 1 diabetes, also you have to do what you call regular monitoring of blood glucose level. So you check how the level of blood glucose is increasing or decreasing. So you manage to adjust this treatment. It is very good. Are you together? So now, I can now make review of what we have seen. We have seen what's diabetes mellitus. What's that? Someone is trying. It's a chronic disorder that's caused by lack of insulin or reducing of responsiveness to insulin. So, which this can cause the high level of blood glucose. In actual is that. So now we have two types of diabetes mellitus. Number one, you have type 1 diabetes mellitus. How do you call it again? Is called, it is called insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus. It depends on the insulin. Are you together? While the type 2 is non-insulin-dependent diabetes. So this insulin is there, but the problem, it is not receiving well on the receptor, on the target cells. Not only that, even the glucose cannot be what? Cannot be moved from the blood then to the cells. It can also happen. So you have mentioned the most of the symptoms of diabetes. They are 3P. We have polyuria, this is frequent urination. We have polydipsia, this is having the high tests. And then we have also polyphagia. This is having what? The hunger, the increase of the hunger. And then finally, so you continue to read, you continue to make your research about this diabetes mellitus. So homework of today. So first of all, you will be able to, what are the causes of sugar imbalance in our body? Sugar imbalance, what are the causes? Are you together? So you will mention the causes of this diabetes, sugar imbalance. When we talk about sugar imbalance, is when the sugar is not regulated. So number two, you will be able to explain what's diabetes mellitus, the definition, explanation, what's diabetes mellitus really. And then finally, discuss its cause and its effect. I hope you will manage this, you will do this, and then increase more research about this. So I can say, goodbye, my friends. We shall meet by next time. See you.